Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Ryan, are you afraid of the truth, Ryan?
No.
Are you afraid of the truth?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good. You're good what? You're good that you slept with me last night with no condom after I had said to you, I don't trust your ass?
Okay, so last episode, they gave us a little sneak peek. And by the way, I never watch the sneak peeks like next time because they always spoil everything. And so I never watched that. Okay, so she said, wait, what is she saying? She's saying, you slept with me last night without a condom. How could you do that? Because I don't trust you. What does that mean? Let's rewind that and sort of clarify what she's saying.
You're good. You're good what? You're good that you slept with me last night with no condom after I had said to you, I don't trust your ass. You got it out. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. I thought we were good. And then when I said to you, I need lubricant, you're like, wait, there's no rubber. Why would you do that to me?
All right, so this is getting a little explicit. So some interesting visuals for us to contemplate. But for her, she, I think, is concerned about STIs. At first I was thinking pregnancy, but I think she's much more concerned about STIs. So that's what she means. I don't trust you. I think that you are having sex with other people. I think you're exposing yourself to other STIs. You might have other STIs. And for you to have sex with me without a condom is a concern for me. And it also sounds like he tricked her, or she thought, or there was a misunderstanding about him. So she's saying crinkle, 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 meaning that he was acting, or at least that's her accusation, of putting a condom on, then he didn't put one on. And so, yeah, if that's true, that's pretty awful. Let's watch and see.
What are you talking about? You're trying to embarrass me.
I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm trying to call you out, Ryan.
Got my cab waiting for me. Sorry.
You got your cab waiting with whose money? Ryan.
Okay, so that's not a good sign. When we see people saying, I want to leave because I just want to, and then we see, Ryan said, maybe Ryan is a jerk face, but Ryan wants to leave, and people should be allowed to leave in situations like this. And she is saying to him, you're going to get in a cab? With whose money? I guess basically implying that I control you financially. And since I control you, you're not going to go anywhere. That's not a good mentality or something to say. If someone wants to leave, even if it is with your money, they should be allowed to leave. And to control someone, to keep them close to you while you yell at them. Now, maybe we'll find out that her concern is justified, but that little bit isn't a good look. Let's continue watching.
The one thing I told you, I haven't seen you in 10 months. I don't trust you. I haven't seen him in 10 months. You can do a lot of cheating in 10 months, okay? So then I'm going to protect myself. So I said to him, you tell me the truth right now. Sweetheart, no. There's been no one, honey. Please.
Okay, so this is the continual conflict between the two of them. I don't believe she has any hard evidence or any evidence other than a psychic saying something that he has cheated. Now, there's potential indication given that the two of them have cheated. The descriptions of his cheating from her have been pretty varied. On one hand, it sounded like it was for sure in the past. And in other ways, he was saying, look, you saw me texting with people. That's all I was doing. So I can't really remember the details. I can't remember if she has a lot of justifications for being worried. But she definitely has the right to say, I want you to wear a condom. That's even if she has no, justifiable reason to believe he has an STI, she still has the right to say, you're going to wear a condom. And for him to so if we hear from him, maybe he'll say, no, it was a completely misunderstanding. I thought I had asked her. Maybe we'll hear something like that. But from her story, it sounds like he did try to trick her and didn't want to wear a condom. And, that's a huge violation in a variety of ways, potentially even criminal in some states. I'm not sure. But she is concerned about that. And then it sounds like she once again corners him and says, you tell me, have you cheated on me? Well, he's going to say no. He's been saying no. And maybe it's true, but it's one of those things that you just can't really know, right? And that's what I've been talking about from the beginning. How do you build trust with someone in a situation like this? How do you really know? My cat wants to ask that question too. I mean, meow. How do you know, right? I mean, right? Right. You just never know.
You know what? He blew it. He blew his chance right there. I am so forgiving. When the truth is being told, I am a very forgiving woman. When I'm being lied to, off and die. That's how I look at it.
Okay, so she is 100% sure that he is lying. The condom issue is a problem for sure. That's something she can absolutely speak to. But she seems to be completely sure that he's lying about cheating, even though she doesn't have any hard evidence, I don't think. That's interesting. Let's rewind that.
When I'm being lied to, off and die. That's how I look at it. I mean, 2020, eat my ass.
So I feel really bad for Stephanie in this moment, for sure. She's suffering. She seems to be really trying to find a good relationship and has been for years, even with this particular fella. But I have to say, I'm pretty sure what just happened is going to be a meme. I've been on this journey long enough with y'all that I know this sort of things that get memed, or I don't know because they happen, but I think I'm starting to get a sense of what people tend to latch on to. But I mean, they bleeped out most of it, but she essentially said 2020 can eat my ass. What did she say?
I mean, 2020 eat my ass.
Right. I mean, I think all of us can get behind that statement. I want to cry just thinking about the same. Effing 2020 can effing eat my ass. I think we're all with you, Stephanie, on that one. Effing 2020 can effing eat my ass. Put that on a t-shirt, right?
When it comes, she doesn't trust me. It's not new, you know? Every trip she comes, she brings condoms, she doesn't trust me, and we never use them. So it's not new.
Okay, so according to him, he's saying every time we meet up, she never trusts me. It's constant, and every time that we have sex, I don't wear the condoms, and everything's fine. So that's a pretty drastic story between what Stephanie was saying. And as a couples therapist, I am very acclimated to that reality. That when I would hear someone, a couple, they would sit down and they would tell me both their stories, I would hear just drastically different things. So according to him, he's like, look, we never wear condoms. That's essentially what he's saying. I find that hard to believe given the fact that they have condoms. But even if that's true, well, I guess we'd have to know what the communication was. Did Stephanie indicate clearly before they well, it sounded like they did, if I remember right. It sounded like Stephanie was saying, did you get the condom out? And so that obviously is saying, I need a condom, and it would stand to reason that if you don't wear a condom, that you would say, is it okay if we don't wear a condom like the other times? So I don't know. Maybe he'll say more to indicate more justification for what happened.
She came over for us to fix our relationship, trying to bond, you know, get closer, and like we first met, you know. But no, she keeps bringing up, accusing me of cheating. And she knows deep down that nothing happened. So that led to believe that she's crazy, and I gotta go.
Okay, and we don't know. In one storyline, he's never cheated on her, or he's mildly texted with someone and nothing significant happened, and that she is unjustifiably worried. In another world, he has cheated on her, and her worries are justified. It's just hard to know based on what we're hearing. I want to trust Ryan in the way that I want to trust people, but who knows? And as I've been saying from the beginning, the road to rebuilding a relationship, because they've both cheated on each other, it sounds like, they both agree to that, at least in the past. The road to wellness for the two of them is to start over, apologize for the infidelity that they have acknowledged that's happened, to give it some time, And like from Stephanie's perspective, she might be like, well, he's saying he hasn't cheated on me. And I have really no way of confirming whether or not that's true or not. So I'm going to believe him, but I'm not going to be naive to believe that he is completely being honest with me. I don't know. So I'm going to rebuild this relationship. I'm going to require condoms. And I'm going to hope he's telling me the truth, but I just don't really know. And I'm going to try to put it aside for now because to think about it is just to cause more problems. And here's a perspective. I don't know if I've been pointed about this perspective. That is at least an option for people. You don't have to do it, obviously. But when you're in that situation, when you're in Stephanie's position, one of the options is to say, well, I'm going to forge ahead thinking that I'm at least 51% sure that he didn't cheat on me. But there's still almost half of me is still thinking he did cheat on me. But I think it's worth it enough to stick this relationship out, and I'm going to keep going forward. And I'll just look out for the signs, but I'm not going to be too diligent. And I'm going to believe that if the infidelity gets to a certain level, that I will find out about it. I won't have to look for it. And if I don't look for it, it'll make me relaxed. It'll make our relationship better. The con to me not looking for it is that I might not catch it as fast, but I will eventually catch it. I probably will eventually see the signs or something. And that doesn't make me feel great because there's a lot of uncertainty there. But I'd rather do that than what I'm doing now, which is constantly accusing him of something that he just says, I didn't do and you're crazy. And so the only way out of this is if I just put aside my worries from now. I'm still going to hold on to him because I'm not naive or I'm not stupid. But I think it's worth forging forward, and I'm just going to trust that I'll eventually see the signs, or he'll tell me, or he'll break up with me or something. So that's an option. I'm not saying that's what you're supposed to do, but that is an option in situations like this. And a lot of people seem to not contemplate that. What they think is, I need to know for sure. I need to know 100% that you did not cheat on me. There's no way to know that. There's no way to know because you just go to him and he says, I didn't do it. And unless you have other people come forward and say, yes, he had sex with me. But even then, is it true? Is it not? I mean, it's a pretty good indication. But there's a lot of situations where you're in that stuck place of like, I think he did something, but I have no evidence of it. And if he didn't do, then I want to pursue the relationship. Which one do I do? Well, one option is to say, I'm going to hold out and I'm going to look for signs but I'm not going to badger and I'm going to forge ahead because I want this relationship. You might find that after 10 years, you're pretty sure they didn't cheat. And then you look back and you're wondering, there's possibility that he cheated during those 10 months. But you know what? We've had 10 years of being together, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't cheated on me during this time. And so who cares about that, those 10 months when we weren't together during that time? I'm not saying you have to have that attitude, obviously, but that could be a result of that. And of course, another result is you forge ahead and he proceeds to cheat and you don't look for the signs very actively. And then after a couple years, you find that he's been cheating on you the whole time. That's another thing that can happen. But that can happen in any relationship. And that's just one of the downsides of our need to be in relationships with people is we can't really know what's going on in someone else's mind. We just have to do our best to take guesses and to look for signs of love and affection and maturity and good decision making.
He knows that would hurt me the most is taking my mother's ring. He couldn't fit everything. He could not fit everything. So what would he do? He would go for what would hurt me the most. And that is my mother's ring.
So this indicates to me that her mindset is such that she not only doesn't trust him regarding cheating, but she doesn't trust him that he is a good person. Right now in her mind, she's thinking, if he had it his way, he would have taken all the things I bought for him and taken my grandmother's ring so that he could sell it or to spite me or something. So she believes, and this is consistent with a lot of things that she has said, she believes that he is capable of doing those kinds of things. That tells me something significant, a certain schema. Now, maybe he is that sort of person. Who knows? But someone actually commented on last week, and I've been thinking about that, about how Stephanie might be trying to recreate her relationship with her father. We don't know much about her relationship with her father. She did talk about it briefly in the beginning of the season, in which she was saying that he was bipolar and there was a lot of, I think, alcoholism, I can't remember, but a lot of chaos and a lot of difficulty that she had with him. And someone suggested that she's trying to recreate that relationship by almost being like her father, by being up and down, by being erratic, by being, problematic in relationships. I don't know. Not all people who suffer from bipolar are like that, of course, but maybe her father was. And so why do people recreate? And people do this. And the theory that I come from, psychodynamic theory, object relations, attachment theory, we will recreate relationships for three reasons from our past, difficult relationships from the past. One is because it's comfortable to us. Because when we experience love and attachment when we're children, and it's with someone who is very chaotic, then our associations with love are very intertwined with our associations with chaos and with drama and with accusation and with ups and downs. And so we see love in that way. In the same way that in a functional family, we, as children, when we're being loved by our parents, there's a lot of affection, there's a lot of attention, there's gift giving, there's listening to each other, there's playfulness, there's creativity, there's eating food together, these kinds of things, there's tucking you in at night. And then as an adult, you associate those things and recreate those things with your partner. You will kiss your partner. You will have affection and show things. You'll give particular gifts, or you will throw parties for your spouse the way your parents threw parties for you. And so all these associations with love and attachment are encoded in us when we're young. And so this comfort level we're attracted to as adults, even though consciously we would be like, well, I don't want a relationship like the way I had with my dad because he was so chaotic and everything was horrible. But since love and attachment was intertwined with what that looked like, we'll tend to recreate it even though we're not conscious of it. The other reason is because when we internalize those relationships, we internalize a perception of the other and a perception of the self as an internal representation of a relationship. It becomes a model. It becomes a part of our personality. And when we're left by ourselves, that internalization is always at war. And I don't know, but it's possible for Stephanie that she had a father that was loving at times and chaotic and rejecting at times. And so it was this back and forth, and Stephanie experienced that. And so she internalized that whole dynamic. And inside of her is that internalization. And so she has a vacillating relationship with herself. So she internalizes her father, she internalizes herself, and when she doesn't have anyone else to relate to, then inside of her, she sometimes feels very suspicious of herself or shaming of herself, and other times she's very loving of the self, and at other times she's very rejecting of the self. And there's this relationship with herself that is similar to the way her dad was because she internalized that. Well, it's much more comfortable to have that relationship on the outside than on the inside. When we're beating ourselves up, that's very hard to deal with. But if we find someone to beat us up, then even though that's horrible, it's easier to deal with psychically because at least we can say they're the enemy instead of I am the enemy to myself. That's another reason why we externalize these internalizations. The third reason why we reenact these past relationships is because we're trying to find a positive result to a difficult situation. So we had this chaos and this difficulty and this mistreatment when we were growing up, and we always wanted it to be different. When we were 2, when we were 7, when we were 13, we were always hoping that it would go different, but it would never go different. It always would go the same. It would always go horribly for us. And so as an adult, now we have power and we start recreating relationships. And this time we're hoping that we can win the day, that I can convince the situation to go better this time because I'm an adult now and I don't have to deal with that person. I want to recreate it and have it go well. Well, sometime, and this is all unconscious, by the way, and when we recreate it so effectively, it actually will do the same thing that it did, maybe even more so than when we were a kid, and we're re-traumatizing ourselves by seeking to make something right that was wrong in the past. And when you become aware of this in psychodynamic therapy, then you can engineer your recreations in a way that's actually a corrective experience for you rather than a harm to you. I don't know if that's what Stephanie is doing, but there's some slight indications. We would have to talk to her to know for sure.
Oh, God, here it is. Here's my mother's ring. He didn't take that. I don't care if he stole anything else. I am so relieved that I found my mother's ring because it is very important to me.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.